A very warm welcome to all of you joining us for WLF Career Coaching Program. It's Masterclass number 7. I am Riya Dadhich, your host for today's session. It's wonderful to see such an engaged audience. It's wonderful to see people are passionate about learning, growing, and building meaningful careers. So the WLF Career Coaching Program is all about helping aspiring professionals gain the real world insights from the leaders who have made a difference. And today's class is no exception. Second thing is, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to our founder and chairperson, Ms. Momita Chakraborty, for envisioning and initiating this WLF Global Career Coaching Program, a truly transformative platform empowering individuals across the world to enhance their leadership, communication, career development skills. And your vision and dedication and constant encouragement continue to inspire us all grow beyond boundaries and embrace the global excellence. Through this initiative, countless aspiring professionals are finding the right direction, purpose, and confidence to lead with the impact. Let me share my screen. Uh, is it visible?
It is visible. You can just go to the PPT slides. Yes, visible.
Our sector knowledge partners are uh, Destinatia Tours and Travels India and European Tourism and Events Training Academy, Malta, Marcelino Munoz Foundation, Mexico, Gandhi Mandela Foundation, Latin America, WLF Directorate of Human Rights, Mexico. We thank our knowledge partners here. Yes, as you can see, our theme for today is the art and science of leadership. This is truly a powerful initiative and powerful topic. Leadership is both intuitive and strategic. It's about understanding people as much as understanding the purpose. So, today we will explore what makes great leaders different and how they balance the empathy with effectiveness and vision with values. And to lead us through this inspiring session, we will have with us an exceptional mentor, Dr. Stephen Murray Kiernan. So
Here are
before
the
we begin, here is a quick overview of WLF Career Coaching Program. So basically, it's a global platform designed to bring together the industry experts, educators, and students, creating a space where learning meets the leadership. Through a series of this masterclass like this, we aim to inspire you not just find a career, but also to build an impactful one. Uh, as you can see, that these are the next generation of leaders on your screen, and we have their names here. Each session in this program is carefully curated to help the participants develop a critical leadership and communication skills, understand the global careers, and prepare them for the emerging industries. It's been incredible to how these sessions have sparked the new ideas and even career pivots among our learners. uh, Let me move to the next slide. These are the program details. As you can see, WLF Masterclass series covers a diverse range of topics, from entrepreneurship and tourism, innovation to leadership skills and strategic communication. Each session is designed to give you a global perspective while helping to develop the practical skills needed in this 21st century workplace. And today we are right in the heart of that journey, exploring what truly defines the leadership. Moving to the next slide, this is about Dr. Stephen Murray Kiernan. Now, it's my absolute honor to introduce our distinguished WLF career coach for today, Dr. Stephen Kiernan. Dr. Kiernan is a remarkable global leader whose work bridges between education, international development, and cultural diplomacy. He holds degrees from University of Dublin, University of Cambridge, and University of Cape Town, and currently serves as the president of the Gandhi Mandela Foundation in Latin America, as well as director of the Leaders of Global Impact Project. Dr. Kiernan has authored 14 books, published over 300 research articles, and has contributed to major global education initiatives with the World Bank Group as well. He's also a passionate advocate for cultural understanding and leadership through service. Dr. Kiernan, we are honored to have you with us today. The stage is all yours now.
Thank you very much. Very kind words. Good evening to most of you, and where I am in Mexico City, very good morning. I'm sure there are people in this part of the world as well, in the continent. I'm delighted to be here. I am a big fan and wish to really actively support this great project that you're developing, and not just in India but in many other countries. And obviously the fact that as Riya mentioned, I am so involved in leadership elements and so on, and in the advocacy of leadership as a genuine activity that one can implement, that one can inspire in other people and so on. This is a great opportunity to speak about it. And so I'm going to speak about something called the art and science of leadership, and the four major pillars of modern leadership. One of the great things about this type of invitation is that one gets an opportunity to sit down, as I did in the last few days, and to think about what this means. Leadership, which can be a rather enigmatic, it can be a rather even metaphysical type of subject, and then you put it into a common sense framework, into how it can be implemented, even possibly how it can be developed, and so on. And of course, leadership in its own way, it's a person who is very successful in leadership. It could be, for example, somebody doing carpentry, and he's a great leader in the manufacture of furniture or whatever, and then he's completely useless as a leader in other contexts, but he works very, very well in his particular area of skill and best practices and so on. One can think about even somebody who's famously a great leader, historically speaking, somebody like Winston Churchill, who in 1942 was, in the context of the Second World War and all the pressures of that time and so on, turned out to be a great leader. But a few years before, he was regarded as being a rather eccentric semi-alcoholic. So it is quite often leadership is a matter of context, a matter of what's happening in the now, right now, and sometimes, obviously, the leadership also it is a matter of going to a place. So it's the here and now, but it's also the there and the future. So that's why in my first slide, if you go on to that, I talk about the four major pillars of modern leadership, which I regard as vision, people, execution, and self-mastery. So those four areas I'd like to look at right now. Could we go to the next slide, please? Yeah, that one. So the first one is the North Star, and the North Star is those of you who are interested in astrology and such like. The North Star is something where you are able to locate yourself in the now, and you're also able to identify the where you're going as an objective when you look at that star. So it's as I said, it's something in the present and then something in the future, because you are recognizing what you have right now in your hands, the team that you have, the limitations that you might be in, the opportunities which are present in the moment, and then you have this star, you have this clarity of objective towards which you are going. And that obviously is a way of focusing, of disciplining what you're actually doing. So the North Star is a source of vision and strategy. And these 5 themes I'm looking at. These focus on where the leader is guiding the organization, and the mindset, the mentality that is needed to plan for the future. The first one is to establish and communicate the North Star. So this involves a process of defining a compelling, a very persuasive, unified vision that everybody can rally behind. Riya was talking about communication, and this will be a recurring topic in my talk right now, because there is nothing more important than punctual, pertinent communication on a constant, which is done constantly. And communication, we live in a world of tools of communication. You know, WhatsApp, social media in general, and so on. This never eradicates, never eliminates the necessity of writing well, of recording your audio messages well, and so on. Because just because you have the tools, it does not mean that you leave behind, for example, the correct grammatical expression of what you are asking people to do, how you are describing yourself, how you are describing where you want to go with your project, and so on. So I find that in WhatsApp, very often people do not use good punctuation, do not use the correct words. Something which is a question does not have the question mark at the end. Things like this. It might sound a little bit, I don't know, pernickety, like it's a little thing, but it's incredibly important. The clarity of expression, the identification of objectives, the timing of things, even to say, right, we will do the following in the next 7 days. Things like this, so that everybody is absolutely clear in terms of the communication which you're doing. Everybody is clear what is expected of them, and therefore there is no equivocation. There is no this situation of weak excuses. Oh, you didn't tell me the following, that's why I didn't do it. No, you were actually told. You were told punctually. You were given all the freedom to do it at your own speed, but we wanted you to do it within a certain time, and so on. So again, communication is unbelievably important, and it's a vision which is presented that everybody can concentrate their team spirit into making it happen. This clarity should also be should also involve a completeness of expression, so that you don't just indicate 25% of what your vision is. The ideal is that you indicate 100% of your vision, in a clear language, which is very expressed in a few words, but the words are very concrete, very easy to understand, and so on. So this type of thing is very important. Obviously, we in this context right now, we are people in different countries. Some people have English as their first language. Some people have it as possibly their fourth language, speaking it very well, understanding it very well. But one should always keep in mind that type of thing as well, the situation that people might not have a certain language as their first language, even though there is an optical illusion, let's say, that the person understands the particular shared language at a more or less a native level. But it's not always the case. So this thing about communication is, as I said, absolutely central. The second point is strategic foresight, which I would describe as the technique of identifying emerging trends and preparing the team for future shifts, and not just reacting to present challenges. So again, it's one is in the present, but one is on a journey towards the North Star, towards complying with the objectives. So there is the here and now, which is in the present, and then there is the there and the future. So we're going there, and it's in the future, and what do we have to do to get there? And obviously an element of this, which is absolutely key, is to keep people motivated And you keep people motivated by respectfully supporting them on the journey which everybody is sharing. And by this element, the psychological, the personalized element is absolutely important as well. That people feel like they're counted as important colleagues in the whole process, so that people, yes, they feel motivated. The third element is from vision to action. So there could be a big gap, but there is a gap between the big idea, the big plan, and so on, and the concrete and countable, the concrete measurable steps to achieve this big idea. So obviously one has to live in realities, and the realities, as I mentioned, could be limitations of budget, pressures of time, weaknesses in certain among certain skill sets of people, and so on. So all of these realities have to be recognized, respected, and hopefully taken advantage of. So the team itself, if we're talking about a leader and his team, the team itself is all the elements of each member of the team is taken advantage of. The fourth element is the cultivating a culture of innovation. I myself find that sometimes there is too much exclusive emphasis on innovation, because innovation in its own way is the second step in the process of creating the new. What is actually something which is before innovation is called invention. So you invent something, you invent the World Wide Web, as an Englishman did in the late 1980s. And then the World Wide Web is innovated. It's developed in terms of all its possibilities. So one should think of innovation. Yes, it's extremely important, but where something is essential, which is often overlooked, is invention. But in this case, we're looking at a culture of innovation, a vision of innovation. And this means creating an environment where calculated risk-taking is encouraged and failure is viewed as a learning opportunity. So in other words, you get an extremely positive perspective on the reception, the giving of ideas of innovation, and then identifying these suggestions or recommendations, whatever, as golden opportunities to do something. People feel motivated because they are the owners of the ideas. They also feel motivated because they receive the challenge of actually innovating these ideas and implementing them. So new ideas are always welcome, and the best ones, hopefully at least the best ones, are acted on. So the organization itself, the team itself, is absolutely open to new ideas, and then they are actually implemented. They aren't just discussed and then, as we say in Spanish, you are given the plane. In other words, people will tell you that the idea is wonderful and welcome to your great idea, and then nothing happens. That is obviously, I won't even describe what it is, but it is a ridiculous situation that a very, very good idea is presented and it's not acted upon. Also, I think what is very important that I've seen in this type of situation is a culture of proactivity. So, I had one time I was in charge of a team in the context of a very, very important business, and there were people involved in public relations, people involved in human resource management, finance people, and so on. The biggest source of innovation I found was a young gentleman who was in charge of maintenance. So he was in charge of repairing, the wiring in offices and so on and so forth. One of his innovations was, he said, why don't we use water from tanks of water which are delivered by trucks instead of using water from the tap? This saved about $5,000 a month in water, his idea. And so this was a fellow who before in another regime, his ideas were never acted upon, but his idea was listened to, and it was acted upon immediately, and we were saving $60,000 a year in our source of water. So this is a fellow, as I said, not particularly well educated, but very smart, and finally being listened to, and with this sense of pride, a sense of this is my idea, which was acted upon, and look at the amount of money, look at the improvement in the area, the green areas of grass and plants and so on, which is the result of my idea. So tremendous compliment to him. Number 5, leading with purpose. What is this about? It's to ensure the organization's mission has a positive impact that drives employee motivation and engagement. And obviously, in the context of the WLF and our Gandhi Mandela Foundation and so on, it also, I would hope, it has a positive social impact as well. That the whatever we are doing creates employment, motivates the heads of family, that their kids are kept in school, etc., etc. All these benefits which are there, which might not be benefits in the immediate moment, but are consequences over the medium and long term. And so that's what we are hopefully doing. It's also, I think, it's very important to use, for example, in practical terms, very positive vocabulary. Instead of saying the problem is that blah blah blah, it's better to describe the situation as the opportunity is blah blah blah, because you start using negative language, people are sort of saying will react by saying, well, it's a negative situation, those situations are normally difficult to resolve, so we won't do anything. Whereas if you have positive language, the positive language is an open invitation to do something about things. Another element is inspirational behavior. Punctual arrival at meetings, or punctual arrival at the job, as the case may be. A sense of even a sense of and again, this might sound a little bit hard to measure or hard to recognize, but not to arrive with a black cloud, with a negative energy to meetings, because a negative energy is and we've all had this experience. It's unbelievably influential, and it can create a sense of this cannot be done. I don't like my colleagues, etc., etc. All these consequences of a negative energy. So it's much better, obviously, to arrive with a smile, with a posture which is very erect, not with a cowering posture, and so on. So again, some elements which are not really identified and expressed are so important. And to arrive with a black cloud in the morning is desperately unwelcome, I think. And of course, you also have hopefully a situation of mutual respect, of hopefully a complete absence of bullying as well. So all these elements very, very positive, and they have their great benefits. The next slide, please. So we go on to people and culture in the next slide, which is the heart of leadership. So this particular focus is on the pillar that focuses on this soft skills, the emotional intelligence, and the interpersonal techniques necessary to build high-performing teams. So this is at the inner personal level, and then outside the person towards the other people who are your colleagues, your collaborators, your partners, and then all the other people in those circles which go out from you. So that the first focus is the science of trust, which are, I suppose, the practical techniques for building psychological safety and maintaining transparency with the team. Sorry, could you go back, please? So this science of trust is so like an open communication. It's a comfort in stating your point of view. In other words, that you get a sense of welcome, that your point of view is going to be listened to, and so on. It also is there is this element of respect for the professionalism of every member of the team. That you, the person in the accountant, you have your specialization and so on, and we respect you for that, and you're good at keeping keeping the finances under control, and you're good at paying people on the Friday of each week. And at the same time, we can recognize that you as an accountant can also be a source of great ideas. And I trust you to do your work well as an accountant, but also that you can be a very important producer of ideas that resolve problems or that can create new activities. The second one is mastering emotional intelligence, the EQ. And this is effectively, this is the art of self-awareness, that you are aware of yourself, who you are, what you are capable of, and so on. It's a matter of also self-regulation, of self-discipline, and then obviously as well of skillfully managing team emotions. So again, it's avoiding this situation of conflict between the members of the team. Whether the team, we all have this experience nowadays. The team could be present in the same meeting room, or they could be present over a Zoom intervention like we have at the moment. But all the time being very aware, and then also skillfully getting involved in the emotions of the team. The sense of, there could be a sense of panic, or a sense of incapacity, or whatever, and you just supportively intervene in what's happening among the members of the team. Again, these negative reactions can be so cancerous, and so the actual 1 hour meeting could end in rancor and in disagreement, and in a sense that we're not going anywhere with our work. But it also could hopefully end in a sense of, I have even more belief in myself and in my colleagues. So you have, to start off, you have a knowledge about the internal capabilities and your strengths and the opportunities which you have inside yourself. Sometimes that's hard to figure out, because one can be quite humble about what we're capable of, or quite blind of what we're capable of. And how do you know sometimes what you're capable of? Sometimes you might say, well, I'm not capable of fixing that appliance. And then you, as a matter of real necessity, you fix the appliance. And then you say, my God, I actually had that inside me, but I never knew it was there. So sometimes there is the answer. You answer a challenge, you meet the challenge, you are successful, and you have a better knowledge about your own self. So things like that I find fascinating, because quite often one does not know, and one thinks that, well, according to how I feel about myself, and because of a lack of self-examination, of self-testing, you say, well, these are my limits, but the limits could be quite artificial. They could be self-imposed limits, and in actual fact, you can do a lot more than you really think. Sometimes I found that some people who did, let's say, a degree in humanities, later on they can become great leaders, great political leaders, great leaders of industry, great directors of a school, as the case may be, and that's management of a very special type. When you manage a school, and so on. So quite often you have the idea that, well, I was trained to be a philosopher or a theologian or whatever, and then you accept an opportunity, and then you realize, actually I'm pretty good at running this company, or pretty good at giving advice to the Ministry of Economics or whatever it might be. And so one should never, I think, give in to the tendency that these are my limits and I can do no more. That's very often not the case, in fact. And then, of course, you have problems of something like ageism, or you're too young to do these things, or you're too old to learn, and things like that. Again, my own personal experience, I've worked with people who were, I remember a very good friend of mine who was 98, and she said, well, now's the time, I'm going to create my own university, and I'm going to be the first rector. And then, Stephen, when my university is a great success, you will be the rector after me. She was 98 when she said that. Another gentleman, he was 97, a geologist, and he found an underground source of water in the Mexico City area, an enormous well of water. And he said, I asked him, how much water is there? And he said, well, the water is rain which fell on Mexico City area 14,000 years ago, and it's rainwater which is now 2 kilometers down underneath the surface of the city, and it's 120 years of water for the entire city. And he was absolutely bouncing. He was so happy about his great achievement, and he was 97. So ageism and other elements like that, which can be quite self-destructive, or other people impose it upon you, it shouldn't be a limitation at all. The next one is the art of feedback in coaching, which is I suppose in a company or in other situations, you have annual reviews. What has been happening? What have we achieved? What can we learn from this year of work? But wouldn't it be better to have an organizational culture of continuous growth-oriented feedback and mentoring? So there is every week there is this. I was going to speak in Spanish, retroalimentación, feedback all the time, so that one can automatically improve, not just waiting for December to arrive and then but improving from the end of the year and the beginning of the following year, but actually to improve every week in this very dynamic, very supportive way within the context of what the team is doing, and obviously to cultivate what is a very, very important habit of saying something like we can improve all the time, and that I think is very, very great motivation for everybody. The next one is inclusive leadership. Again, getting back to this specifically about leadership, these involve strategies for leveraging diversity as a strength and ensuring all voices are heard and valued. So again, getting back to this fellow who was regarded as being undereducated, the head of maintenance. Oh, why should we listen to him? He doesn't have an MBA or whatever. You know, this type of whatever it might be. It could be sexism. It could be racism. It could be an idea that the fella hasn't got the degrees, so therefore he's a fool. He's not capable of understanding certain things. He's not to be relied upon as a source of resolution of conflicts or problems, whatever. All of this should be reduced, or even obviously ideally should be eliminated. So there exists a situation of support for all, no matter what the gender might be, or the race, or whatever it might be. And all countries have this problem of a type of favoritism and its opposite. So the favoritism could be because you're blonde and European and so on. You know, you are to be trusted, whereas this native person from Brazil or from Botswana or whatever cannot be trusted because he hasn't the sophistication of thought or the range of experiences or the quality of education. That is absolutely should not be the case. Obviously, everybody deserves to be listened to. Obviously as well, there could be a situation of bad habits which are being there. It could be an inheritance, as I said, from previous administration or whatever, and those should be identified and hopefully again changed very quickly. Another situation, which because we're dealing with human beings, is the poor chemistry between people. I've been in situations where I got a new job as a director of a company, and you go to the first meeting and you immediately identify that there is a discomfort, a minimum of discomfort, if not almost hatred, between colleagues who have to work together. But the presence of this bad chemistry between the members of the team is a terrible wall stopping things from happening. and obviously the leader has to resolve that issue as quickly as possible and as positively as possible, of course. And then connected to that is this last focus, which is conflict resolution as a growth tool. And these are techniques for mediating disagreements and transforming conflict into creative problem solving. So to take advantage of the negative, one reaction to the negative is we won't do anything. It's always been the case. It's too hard to fix this situation. So we will remain passive and in agreement with the negative. The reality is that a negative in its own way is a door which you have the key to open. So you take out the key and you open the door, and there you enter a place which has got many things which were never recognized as being available to you or to your team or to the company or to society in general. So this is a situation where you should not think of a problem as a reason to stop. It's on the other hand much better to think of it as an invitation to get better and to innovate. Right, the next slide, please. This is the engine room. Got a wonderful photograph of a great big engine there. Execution and management. These themes, these 5 themes, cover the practical, technical skills needed to get things done effectively and efficiently. So the first one is effective delegation and empowerment. So this is a technique of relinquishing control strategically to boost team autonomy and ownership. So this sense of ownership. So this is where you have a situation where the individual among your colleagues or in the leader himself or herself, he possesses the self-confidence to delegate decisions and actions to others. And very often that is not present because people have an element of petty jealousy, let's say, and a sense of, well, if I leave it in your hands, I feel less important, less essential to the working of the company or of the institute, whatever. And that's not the case. There should be a sense of pride that work has been given to other people and they do it well. So not only the person who receives the challenge of doing something well, he feels a sense of pride, but also the boss who's actually given this challenge to the person, that person as well feels a sense of pride in the accomplishment of his team. The next one is the accountability frameworks. And this involves creating clear structures and metrics to track performance without resorting to micromanagement. I suppose in its own way, micromanagement is a source of, or is a type of disagreeable pressure. It's better to have a process in place that actually measures and supports advances. So that there is a recognition, there is a measurement of how advances are being done. There is a very instant or very quick feedback to tell people that what they are doing is going well, and then obviously to identify how these things can be improved even better. So these accountability frameworks I think are very, very practical tools for people. Next one is the situational leadership, and this involves something I said at the beginning. The versatility of adapting your style, whether it's coaching, directing, supporting, whatever it might be, based on a specific task that is required, that is present at the time, and then the employee readiness. So sometimes and we've all had this experience again, that sometimes leadership has to involve being ruthless and being maybe nasty and firing people or whatever because of the situation. Sometimes it involves, hopefully, more often than not, something which is very supportive and embracing and involves words of thanks, possibly bonuses, commissions, whatever it might be, to motivate people. It also involves, hopefully as well, employing the right people in the right places, in the right jobs. And then if the right person isn't in the right position, then to change that person, hopefully The person does not have to be fired. He can be transferred to another area where his or her abilities are better used. And obviously, to use the techniques creatively with a wider range of options to use these techniques. And as I mentioned earlier on, with a higher degree of autonomy, so that people feel that the freedom to actually use their capabilities, their skills, for the benefit of everybody. The next one is decision making under pressure, and these are methodologies for quick, informed choices when information is incomplete and the stakes are high. And again, this is a very recurring situation where you don't have all the details of what's happening, but you have common sense, you have a certain degree, hopefully, within yourself or within the collectivity within the team. You actually have experiences so that you have a menu of solutions that can be implemented just in case the information is not complete. But you more or less know what the situation is. You have experiences from previous times, and you then have you can implement solutions which actually work. Again, in ideal situations, this creates a very positive atmosphere. And again, this is to eliminate the black clouds which people sometimes arrive with in the mornings. It also enhances the capacity to respond quickly, and often based on projections, which are in their own way, in their turn, these are based on past experiences. So I can project what's going to happen, even though I don't have all the details, because I have had this experience before, and therefore, what you may call it, you can more or less predict what's going to happen, and you can choose from your menu of options. You can choose which are the best solutions for this situation. And the last one here in this the engine room is the time and priority management for leaders. So these are the tools and techniques for ensuring the leader's focus, that his focus or her focus remains on high leverage strategic tasks. So again, sometimes the leadership, when it's a little bit underperforming, when it's a little bit limited, it's a matter of a series of tactics. And what you really need, in actual fact, is a vision, is a structural program, which is a strategy, which is a leadership culture, which performs very well in the long term and in all situations. So the focus should be obviously on the important issues and the big picture, so that you do not waste time and you do not waste animus. You do not waste the energy, the great motivation which people feel. You don't waste all of that advantage on the small things. So the small things which are tactical, which are little things, and you move a little bit forward, but there's no sense of follow-up. What do I do after this little thing? The strategy will give you the answer to that, and hopefully the motivation to go beyond just doing little advances and then stopping, and then little advances and stopping. The strategy allows you to do the big advances and in the long term. The next slide, please. This is to do with self-mastery and resilience, and this is the inner game of the leader. And I have a Japanese photograph there. This section focuses on the personal discipline and internal strength required to sustain leadership over the long term. So the first one there is leading with integrity and ethics. Obviously, we have seen in the last more or less 10 years that there is, among political leaders, there is a scoffing, there is a laughing at the importance of ethics, and the integrity of the person, the integrity of the company, the organization. But again, and this is not to be romantic or not to live in the real world, but in the real world, these are absolutely essential elements, the integrity and ethics. These are, in their own way, these are non-negotiable principles of maintaining consistency between words and actions. Um, in other words, getting back to this word trust, if I can trust you to be an ethical bricklayer or an ethical lawyer or whatever, I can more or less understand what you will deliver. And that if I pay you, you will not be giving me, you know, a bad service. You'll not be giving me a product which is going to break after, you know, 2 weeks of use or whatever. So this type of thing is again extremely important. And then within the team itself as well, there is this sense of we are an ethical team. We have transparency about who we are and what we do. There is no sense of I cannot trust you because what you say is not to be trusted. Um, and at the end of the day, the part of the definition of genuine leadership is this element of personal ethics. So the leader is understood to be an ethical person, is understood to be a person who will do what he says, and so on, and will not give, you know, false promises, even downright lies, and so on. So again, these are personal habits, these are organizational, cultural practices, and so on. There is this situation of a compatibility between the formal moral aspects, you know, to do with contracts and so on. I can believe in this contract. This contract says the following, you know, the clauses, clause 1, clause 2, clause 3, clause 4. I can believe in this. This is an absolutely believable, trustable, ethical document. And then obviously this document involves the people who are involved in the document, and are they ethical? Can I trust their integrity? So it's the formal elements of contracts and so on, and things which are written down, things which are legally binding and so on, and then the actual practitioners involved in these things as well. Hopefully they are ethical and will do what they say. The next one is resilience and energy management. These are techniques for avoiding burnout, which is a problem. I read, maybe some people here read it as well, that the new Prime Minister of Japan is, for some reason, she's very proud of the fact that she sleeps between 2 and 4 hours a night, which is absolutely, humanly speaking, it's absolutely ridiculous to have that much pressure as a prime minister of a great country like Japan, and to be only sleeping 2 or 4 hours a night. She's going to have burnout. She's going to, I mean, she's not particularly, I don't think she's particularly old, probably about 50 years old, or whatever. But very soon she'll be making bad decisions. She will be making decisions which are not timely, and so on. So there is this element in the case of, in the sense of energy, this case of burnout. There is an inability to maintain a high performance over time. Again, because, you know, what's your energy level like? In terms of, are you getting enough self-discipline in the sense of diet, exercise, sleep, family life, and so on, friendships, the network of friendships, so that people are not talking about your work. They're actually talking about silly little things like the new girlfriend or a new restaurant, a wonderful Japanese food, or whatever it might be. So you know, these are human things which are release valves which get rid of some of the toxic energy which is inside you. And make you aware that the world is actually a lot bigger than your little office space or your factory area or whatever it might be. The next one is the leader is a constant learner. Again, I think very important, the fact that in the Socratic sense, that one is always learning, that there is a sense that, you know, even in a very, if somebody says to me, oh, I've learned an awful lot, and I said, have you ever looked at Wikipedia? There are, even in the English language version of the Wikipedia, and there are, I don't know, there's something like 180 languages, 200 languages in the Wikipedia, but the Wikipedia in English has got more than 7 million articles, which if you physically see the Encyclopedia Britannica, which is something like 60 volumes or 80 volumes of publications. That's about, the Encyclopedia Britannica is less than 5% of the size of the Wikipedia. So there is, just in the Wikipedia as a source of information, that's an incredible amount of information. So we are always constantly learning because there are always new things to learn. And obviously, right now with artificial intelligence and so on, all of a sudden our 10-year-old grandchildren or children or our nephews or nieces are telling us things about new things in technology and so on, which we haven't a clue about. But they are essential now, or they will be essential very soon. And it is an amazing thing. You know, even to think about in 2005, which is a generation ago, 20 years ago, you look at photographs of, if you're obviously of a certain age, photographs of yourself. Where's the mobile phone? Where's the laptop and the computer screen and so on? And now you take a photograph anywhere on a public bus service or in the terminal of an airport, and probably literally 50% of the people are bent over like monastic monks looking at their phones. And that's how things can change, not just rapidly, but generally. There is no country in the world. I mean, I was in Nigeria. This was 2008. They had very little internet and so on in 2008. Now, internet is everywhere in that country, and everybody has got their mobile phone and looking at their WhatsApp messages and their Instagram photographs and so on. And so we have learned to use these new tools. So in terms of the leader as a constant learner, and this growing a mindset, a larger mindset, an adaptable mindset, where we're seeking out new knowledge and challenging experiences and so on. It involves, from my point of view, it involves the development of a resilient mentality, of mental habits, a constant curiosity, an openness to new ideas, a sense of comfort that you don't feel threatened. Oh, why didn't I think of that? I feel embarrassed because I wasn't the source of that idea, and so on. You know, these are human reactions. And the reaction should be ideally that this new idea is very welcome. I'm you know, in a joking way, I feel a bit jealous. I'm not the author of this idea, but I'm absolutely eager to participate in the implementation of the idea. One should also never feel that the learning journey has come to an end. I mean, as I mentioned before, I was with a 98-year-old woman talking about a new university, and a 97-year-old engineer who was talking about supplying water to one of the world's biggest cities. So it's never at an end. It's only at an end when you stop breathing, I suppose. Next one is developing executive presence. So this is the art of commanding respect and communicating confidence and credibility in all situations. And one element of this, I should say, and it might sound a little bit flippant or a little bit superficial. It's elements like posture, that you're not bent over. You don't give the impression of cowering or of subservience or of rendition, of giving in, of signing your surrender documents. You're actually got a posture of self-confidence and all the rest. And it affects how you think as well, how you feel about yourself, how you think about others as well, your treatment of others as well. Again, and very important. It's also, I think, in terms of executive presence, it's also important to be well prepared, to not come in and say, you know, with that famous, that terrible phrase, which is, I don't know. You know why you don't know? Because you're not well prepared. You didn't read your notes. You didn't read what the finance people put together about what's happening with sales, what's happening with expenses, how we can reduce expenses, how we can how we need 50 new employees and so on. How do we get these new people and so on? You have to be, I think, well prepared, to give time to preparation, and to avoid that terrible insulting phrase, which is "I don't know." You certainly don't give the impression of an amateur, so therefore people have less trust in you, and so on. So all these elements, from the way you dress and your posture and so on, all the way to are you up to date with information? Are you well prepared? And the final one, you'd be glad to hear, is to define your unique leadership philosophy, which I think is not a bad challenge to accept. That you say to yourself, "Well, I'm a good leader. I have ideas about how this company, how this organization, how this group of Boy Scouts, whatever, how we can organize ourselves, how we can feel about who we are and where we're going, and so on." And this involves understanding your core values. Again, returning again to who you are inside yourself, and developing a personal why that anchors your leadership style. So this personal why am I here? Why are we doing these things, and so on. So perhaps one possibility is to undertake a reliable questionnaire. Have you seen these human resource questionnaires where you get all these options, and you choose number 5 because you feel yourself to be a self-motivated person, or you feel yourself, number 1, you feel very passive and you don't take decisions very easily, or whatever. And these questionnaires actually, in some respects, they do a very good job at identifying who you are, the capabilities you have inside yourself, and then what you could be doing with these elements. And finally, just to say that it's very important to know yourself. Yes, to recognize your strengths and weaknesses, and not be fooled by people or circumstances. That certain things are true about you when they really are not. So again, you could be listening to people who are very foolish, and they're describing who you are and so on. You believe them, even though the person you're describing is really not who you are. But at the same time, there are very helpful people who have a great sense of, who have a great ability to assess the other person, and they actually can tell you as well, apart from this questionnaire option. These very wise people, these people who have very good noses, and they say, I think you are the following, and you could do the following, and so on. And you actually say to yourself, that is absolutely correct. I never thought about that about myself, but yeah, that's what I could do in this case as a leader. So that's what I wanted to speak to everybody about. If you want to go to the next slide. There we are. Those are my contact information on my website. And as our presenter was saying, I am president of the Gandhi Mandela Foundation in Latin America. I'm head of a project which is called Leaders of Global Impact for the Fundación Marcelino Muñoz Foundation, which is now in 109 countries. And I'm also, because of the fact that I'm Irish, maybe some people were wondering where I'm from because of my accent. I'm also the Grand Master of the Illustrious Order of St. Patrick, which is an organization of friendship between Ireland and Latin America. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Kiernan, for that incredible, inspiring, and thought-provoking session. You reminded us that leadership begins with curiosity, grows with experience, and matures through service. We'll now open the floor for a few questions. If you have something you would like to ask or share, feel free to raise your hand or type in the chat. We would love to hear from you.
Yeah, what I think is very important in this type of part of the talk is it's great to hear what people have experience in, a real experience in something. When I talk about these elements, quite often something like this can be quite conceptual but hard to think about in real terms. But all of this I've had experience of. as I said, from the person arriving with the black cloud in the morning, and it's contagious. You know, positive energy and it's unfortunately is probably less contagious than negative energy. Negative energy can be very easy to influence other people, and positive energy is quite fragile. It cannot be very resilient sometimes, because the heavy negative stuff is so overpowering, as the case may be. So anyway, but please, your own opinions, both of it, please.
Hi, Stefan. My name is Maria Elena. I am from Mexico City. Nice to meet you.
Hello,
thank you for this session, Momita and every one of the team. I really appreciate to be listening and remembering how important it is to maintain our focus on the leadership. And also what I really love is that you are giving like all the fundamental, I think, abilities that we know to develop in these moments. But considering the situation in the world and how difficult it is to maintain ourselves in a top positive energy, as you are saying right now, or being focused, what will be the most impact tip that you can give us, or recommendation to give for the top leaders, to directors and also CEOs with a direct line? What will be the most important that you think that they have to be doing right now?
I think let me just say something at a personal level. I actually did meet Nelson Mandela in 1992, because his personal lawyer was a colleague of ours at the University of Dublin. He was a professor of human rights in Dublin. And I asked Mr. Mandela, I said, what is your worst experience having been in prison? And he said, the fact that when I cry, I cannot produce tears. And I said, what do you mean you cannot produce tears? He said, well, because of the dust from the yard of the prison. It's a very fine powdered dust. And it got into my eyes, and it's acidic. So it burned my tear ducts in the corner of my eye. And that's why I'm not capable of producing tears. So I cry with pain or with sadness, or I cry with joy, whatever, but the tears don't come out. And he said that's the worst thing about the experience in prison. Isn't that a very human comment? You know, this man who had a tremendous sense of humor. You know, again, I think the element of humor in a great leader is so important. Because humor is creative, it's artistic, it's empathetic, because you are wondering if the person thinks what you're saying is funny. So there's an empathy going on there. So I think humor in a manager, in a school principal, in a director of a company, in the chief of a village, whoever that person might be, humor is I think incredibly important. So, but thank you for allowing me to remember about Nelson Mandela as well. That was great.
We can
Thank
take
you.
another question. Mina?
I think
Hello?
Min Nguyen has a
Mina,
question.
yeah.
Yes. Good afternoon from Switzerland. Can you hear me well?
Great.
Yes. Thank you, doctors, for sharing. And I'm also working in the field of leadership. I understand, and what you're sharing, that you met the former president of South Africa. I visit the prison where he been in prison for that 27 years. And what you're sharing is really moving, because I can feel that the condition they live in that time. But I think one of the reasons why he changed the whole picture of the country and the people in South Africa, because of his leadership style. And I think each of us can be a leader. And I have a question for you, Dr. Stephen. What do you think? What the most three important quality as the leaders in this uncertainty time? Just 3 points. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much. So I understood that the first thing that the humanity as a leader, we focus on human. The second thing is the small art and open communication. Welcome, feeling inclusive. Everyone feeling that we seeing you. So that the second thing. And the third thing that you mentioned, as we said, that every one of us can become a leader in our own field and always our ways of seeing things and our lifestyle. Thank you so much. I think this is a wonderful session. Thank you for your time and your generosity.
It's very nice of you to say so. Thank you.
Is there any other question?
I would just like to take a moment before we conclude to thank Dr. Stephen for such incredible insights. We learned a lot, Dr. Stephen, today. And what I have also learned, and I actually apply the same in my life as well, that the most important traits of leadership is having these qualities of honesty, integrity, empathy, as well as inclusiveness.
As we wrap up, I would like to express my deepest gratitude to Dr. Stephen Murray Kiernan for sharing his time, wisdom, and warmth with us today. Your insights on leadership have truly given us a fresh lens to reflect on our own growth. A heartfelt thank you to everyone who joined us today. Your energy, your participation made these sessions so special. We'll be back soon with the next session. Thank you all for the wonderful evening.
Yes, thank you, Amit. Thank you, Riya. Thank you, Rick, and everybody there. A warm hug from Mexico City.
Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Dr.
everyone.
Stephen.
Thank you.